Yeah, not many know it, but I was one of the chairmen of the first World Cup. The World Cup come about, nobody thought it would ever get past first base. It was a dreamboat of somebody. Nick Shahadian and Dick Littlejohn and Kemble Carpenter were formed into a committee. And we thought, oh, it'll meet and report back, that'll be the end of it. Well, they went on meeting, and the great J.J. Stewart said at the council table one afternoon there, he said to Seth Blasey was the chairman, he said, Mr. Blasey, the World Cup committee are meeting in Chad next week. And Seth Blasey says, Chad, Mr. Stewart? Isn't that the wee country in the middle of Africa? He said, why would they want to meet there? Because he said, sir, that's the only bloody place they haven't met. They were having a ball, they're meeting all over the world. And we sold the sponsorship for $7 million, I think it was, to a firm called West Nally in London. And on the verge of the Cup, we'd had progress payments, we'd had about perhaps $5 million, and they went belly up, they went broke. And I arrived in Auckland and Ivan Badanovich, who's a lovely bloke, Ivan said to me, gee, we're in trouble, Harps. He says, the West Nally's going bankrupt. And I said, what do you do? He said, well, there's a Japanese bloke here that's prepared to pick up the other couple of million if we let him sit in the stage. I said, Ivan, give him an armchair. So it was, I think it was one of the motor car, Toyota or somebody, one of the bosses of them, he picked up the $2 million. But that's how it was pretty easy, because some of the games were played in Australia and some were here. And but I appointed all the liaison officers for the World Cup. And what we done, we met about 3 months before at Easter, and we brought all the managers of all the teams from Argentina, Italy, everywhere into Auckland, and we brought all the liaison officers from all over the country in, and they all met one another, and we discussed things for a day. Then we sent them on around the venues. Each liaison officer took his manager, and they had to report back on the Monday of Easter. So any complaints, they would load them now. We didn't want complaints once it started. Into the hotels, into the dressing rooms, and they came back, they were good. So that was a good idea. And we had a meeting up there for about, maybe 100 there, I suppose. It was a big lot of people there altogether. So that's how it all came about. That's how it started. And,
did you imagine it would grow into the tournament?
No, we did not. We were lucky it got off. We thought we were going to go broke. We thought it was right on the money, pretty close at that time. Because I think Stu Wilson and, might have been Graham Morley or someone, Stu Wilson and somebody else were the liaison office for West Nally. And they were worried about getting paid. I remember that. Stu wouldn't want to go without me. Stu was on tour with me. Yeah. I don't know, it was good.
What about professionalism aside, what about the game and the way it's played these days? Do you like the style that it's turned into?
I guess they had to speed the game up. That's what they tried to do. That was the idea. But it's speeded up now to it's become almost bullock on bullock, they're just banging into one another. There's not the skill in the game, not so much skill in the game as there was in the old days, where a centre three-quarter could beat his man clear. Now you've got to be about three. They're all out of the place, and I don't like that so much. I like the game it was, although I must say that this game is faster. It's a different game. It is a different game. You probably can cover a bloke that can't tackle better now than what you could in the old days. In the old days, if you couldn't tackle, it stood out very clearly, Everybody noticed. No, that's still a great game. Our All Blacks are probably the best promotion for our country that anything the whole of New Zealand can ever do. When I went to America with the All Blacks, hardly anyone ever heard of New Zealand, but everyone heard of All Blacks. It's quite amazing, That was the fact. And in 1980 I went into America. We played in America and Canada. Nobody hardly knew where New Zealand was. They never heard of it. They thought it was part of Australia. But a hell of a lot of people knew what the All Blacks were. The All Blacks have got a wonderful name around the world. It's good for our country.
So if you look back over this wonderful career, as a player, as a coach, as an administrator, as a manager, is there one highlight that lives with you more than another?
Oh, the highlight would have to be going to Wales as the All Black manager. That's quite something in those days, you know. And don't forget, in those days, the coach never made a statement. The manager made all the statements. It was pretty tight, much tighter controlled. I ran out of money at one stage, and I rang up Seth Blazer, and he says, "How much do you want, Ray?" And I had to tell him, and there was no hesitation. Like it's, our boys got paid every Monday morning. You realise that there was a day's allowance, whatever country you're in, and they had to pay the day's allowance. So they'd line up and pick up their envelope just like you do getting your pay at work, and it was different. And I remember giving Bruce Robertson. Well, Bruce Robertson was a wonderful player. I think I had the best back line probably New Zealand's had, one of the best anyhow, and over there. And I gave him £50 to shout there after the game, and he came back to me in the morning. He still had the £50. Bruce doesn't drink, or didn't drink, and I said, what didn't you, Bruce? He says, "I'll put it in the team fund." He says, "They had any amount to drink without this," he says. So it went in the team fund, and I didn't participate in the team fund, but they had about £1,000 each in the team fund in Wales when they finished the tour. And we'd had about 3 days in Singapore coming home, and they bought, when I got to the airport, I suppose where this house was covered there, with the stuff they had for everything, from Rangers to push bikes to you name it. They bought them for peanuts, you see. And the bloke said to me he wanted 250,000 some Singapore dollars or whatever they were. So I said, I said, it's going to be hard. Getting everybody to pay their own was impossible. So a bloke come to me in the airways with a cap on and said, could he get a photo of the All Blacks going up the stairs of the plane? It was an inaugural flight on a Thursday to New Zealand. And I said, yes, you can. I said, one catch. He said, what's the catch? I said, I want this stuff put on the plane first. No trouble, he said. Tell the bloke went mad. I wasn't worrying me. So all the All Blacks got all their gear home for nothing. Like the excess baggage would have been tremendous. There was they're different dollars, different things. But yeah, they spent most of the money there because we were about 4 to 1, I think, in those days, in Singapore dollars in New Zealand. They bought silk sheets. I remember that, heaps of them. These were wonderful things, these silk sheets, and they were about 2 bob or something. You know. Oh no, that's good.
And we're just briefly a couple of big rugby moments in recent years you would have enjoyed. One is when Remedy Shield was won by Southland.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's there again. It's not as big as it was then either, but it was wonderful for our boys to do it. With the advent of professional rugby, which had to come, I'm not decrying it one moment. It was if it hadn't come one way, it would come another. Because I knew about what was going on. And as I said, I think it can be controlled better, but it's brought its problems. His father played for New Zealand League, and he always said to me, he went to England and the New Zealand League team, and they were paid long before rugby were, and he said, the minute that comes in, the teamship goes out. But luckily the All Blacks have kept it together so far, but there is a lot of jealousy if one's getting 50,000, others getting 100. Well, that's part of life. And one plays better, the 50,000 plays better than the 100,000 some days. It can cause problems, but anyway, we got to go on with the game as well. But now these boys they're going to be millionaires some of them when they finish their beautiful houses. Good on them. I think that's great. But I think at the lower level, it's got to be controlled more. Otherwise, you're going to see unions bankrupt like Otago went last year.
And just finally, the World Cup win last year, did you enjoy that? Because it was, since you organised the World Cup event, it was the last time we won it.
Yeah, well, we had to win it, really. It's wonderful, and I've read Henry's book. It's good. I think in one sense that we're a bit fortuitous. With the last 10 minutes, the French went back across the paddock. They never got a penalty, which is, I always said in rugby, when I was played it a lot. It's easier to win at home. And it's easier to win if you get a shade of odds than free. You got to be good to beat both, and that's what it's all about. But Right nowadays, I was the first to introduce New Zealand referees, neutral referees, one of the first. I advocated when I was playing for Southland. Southland were unbeatable early on when we had referees down here, old Jack North and company. There's no doubt about that. That's every sport, of course, to a degree, but rugby does have a fair share of was there. You've got to be good to beat both, and that's what the All Blacks can do, which is great to see.